What's up, idiots? How you doing? It's Monday night. That means it is State of the Tigers. We are here with you. Talk a little Mizzou football, a little Mizzou basketball. When we last spoke, I believe we were discussing whether or not one of our callers was offering his dog relations for the dog's birthday. So that's just the kind of thing we do here. God knows where it's going to go for the next 58 minutes or so, but we appreciate you being here. This is State of the Tigers brought to you every single Monday night by our friend James Carlton at State Farm Insurance in Webster Groves, Missouri. You can check him out at carltoninsurance.net. You can give him a call at 314-961-4800. And for a little while, we're going to leave that QR code up in the top left-hand corner of your screen. If you scan that with whatever device you are on, you can go to James's website, get a little bit more information. And we hope you get a quote from him. He contributes a little bit of money to Mizzou's NIL efforts, and then maybe he becomes your insurance agent. That would be good news for everybody. Also good news for everybody. Drew King gets to go first on the show. This is big news. There was football season, and then there was the transfer portal, and football kind of dominates a lot of the time, but Drew, it is full-on basketball season now. We are in the 3 weeks of the year where college football has decided to give us a break.
Yeah, I don't know that it's good news for everybody, but it's that time of year.
All right, it's news. Yeah, I don't know if it's even. It may not even be good news for you, to be quite honest.
But we'll see.
At least you get done sooner. All right, we'll talk. Put your guys' comments, questions, all that in the chat. We will get to it. I do notice before we get to the show, look, as long as we're talking about stupid things, Tigo is requesting the shirts come off. And I got to share an exchange we had. These are the people that watch us on YouTube and that interact with us. And frankly, that put food on our tables and all that. So I'm walking up. I'd gone down to get a bottle of water before the game started. I'm walking up to the media section. And some guy walks past me. I do not know this gentleman. He did not introduce himself, which is fine. He just looks at me and says, "Are you going to take your shirt off?" This is a normal interaction. And so I get up to the media section and I sit down next to Drew, and he goes, "Did that guy ask you to take your shirt off?" This is where we're at as a society, man.
He asked me the same question. Is why I kind of knew what he had said.
Yeah,
too.
that's
We love the support. Thanks.
We appreciate you watching. We appreciate you reading. We're going to stay clothed. It is still, I was just talking to my wife a couple weeks ago. It's still very weird to me that media members have become like people know who we are, and YouTube is a big part of it. And I don't mean that to sound nearly as arrogant as I'm sure it sounded, but I would not have guessed when I started this job 20 years ago that at some point I would be walking through Mizzou Arena and someone would ask me to undress. It's just not where I thought it was going to go.
You never thought, never mind.
No, I didn't ever think.
Let me stop.
I didn't ever think there was any scenario where that would happen.
Well, I think I'm in the same boat with you, Gabe. And, yeah, it's weird getting recognized sometimes.
It's less weird getting recognized than it is getting asked to undress. Can we agree with that?
That too, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Frankly, maybe at this point in life, I should be happy anybody's asking me to take my clothes off, to be quite honest. But we'll leave that alone, and we will move on. As CB Kiminal says, I don't have any idea if I pronounced that correctly. The big news today, I think, is Jason Crow Jr. and Tony Bryant, both named McDonald's All-Americans. We believe, Drew, right? This is the first time that Missouri's had two guys get that honor.
I believe that is correct. I eyeballed all of the past 49 McDonald's All-American rosters, or I guess 48 because this one's 49. And I didn't see any year where Mizzou had two. They have had 5 before this. And we're talking strictly about guys who were committed to Mizzou when they got selected to the All-American.
So
game.
let me see if I can guess the 5 because I have not looked at the list or
Okay.
looked at the release. I
Yeah.
know Michael Porter Jr. was one.
Correct.
I know Trayvon Bryant was one. Was
Yep.
Anthony Peeler one?
He is 1988, Anthony Peeler.
Okay. Those are the 3 easy ones.
Yeah.
Was Linus Kleza?
It was not.
He was not. Okay. For my 5th one, I'm gonna go. I don't even know exactly when the McDonald's game started. What about Derek Chivas? Was he one?
Derek Chivas made the list, 1984.
4 out of 5. That's not bad. Who's the 5th one? Who's the one I
Number
didn't get?
5 was from the 70s, Gabe. Steven Stipo Stepanovic.
Stepanovic. I see. I thought I honestly didn't think the McDonald's game started until the early 80s. So that makes sense. That Stipo was one. Then they got Albert White out of the portal, Mark Mitchell out of the portal. I think that probably covers it.
Alex Oriaki, is that how you say it?
Alex Oriaki.
Oriaki.
Alex Oriaki.
Right. He was another one. Yes.
Okay. I remember when Albert White came to Missouri, man. That was like he was right around, I don't know, I want to say 92-ish, 93-ish, something like that. He transferred from Michigan, and that was right before I came to Mizzou. And that was a big deal. It didn't really pan out the way that everybody wanted to, but that was a huge deal. So
yeah.
And I think like Crow, not at all a surprise.
No.
It would have been a surprise if he wasn't. Tony Bryant, I won't say surprising. Like people thought he had a shot, but I mean, that is like, I don't think you can underestimate the publicity and the good news that this is for the program.
Yeah. To your point, I found out today, Jason Crow is averaging 44.1 points a game, which he's playing in 8-minute quarters. It feels like there shouldn't be enough time to score that many points. So yeah, Jason Crow was pretty much a lock to make it this year. But you're right. Tony Bryant is kind of a fringe 5-star guy right now. I think he's ranked 26th, 27th, something like that. And so he wasn't necessarily a lock to get in, but I think that him getting selected was definitely well deserved. He's playing on the number 15 team in the high school team in the country right now, and he's at a new school, and he's got a bunch of 4- and 5-star guys playing with him, and he's been really impactful for him. So I think that kind of solidified his spot in this game. And like you said, this is possibly like one of, if not the biggest high school basketball game that there is. And so it's a huge accomplishment for Mizzou. Absolutely.
And I think the reason I think it's such a big deal is because, let's not kid ourselves, this thing has always been very political, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the shoe companies were NIL before NIL existed. I mean, they are what led to it. They are quite legitimately what led to NIL. And so like if you were committed to one of their flagship programs, if you were going to Duke or Carolina or Kansas or Kentucky, your chances to be a McDonald's All-American were so much better than if you were like Missouri has had players that I think were good enough out of high school to be in that group. Mm-hmm. But most of them didn't get it because Missouri was not one of those programs. I think, and look, we can get into this a little bit. They have to do it on the floor, but I don't think you can overstate the publicity that Missouri is getting out of this recruiting class.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't checked recently, but it was a top 5 class when they signed these guys. And I know we aren't expecting it to finish as a top 5 class, but having that on signing day is a huge deal. And I think that it's a credit to Dennis Gates that he was able to get these guys as early as he did, because a lot of top 10 guys still haven't signed yet or still haven't picked where they're going to play next year. So, I think it was a really smart move by this coaching staff to get things wrapped up as quickly as they could. And now they've got two guys who are going to represent Mizzou in the All-American game. You can't say that about every other school.
Right, on national TV, and it's a huge deal. And I think, like, it's like they say about the Hall of Fame. Like, there are Hall of Famers, and then there's like that kind of secret special room in the Hall of Fame, where the really elite guys are. There are big time recruits, and then like Jason Crow Jr. is kind of one of those guys where it almost transcends basketball recruiting. Like, he is just known across the country. The last guy that Missouri had like that, and frankly, maybe the only guy in my lifetime, was Michael Porter Jr. Like, they've gotten good players. They've gotten 5 stars. They've gotten, but MPJ, Dorial Green Beckham was this way. Luther Burden was this way. Just kind of the guys that even the casual fans know who these guys are as recruits. Like, the casual college basketball fan probably hasn't heard of Tony Bryant, right? Probably doesn't know much about him. The casual college basketball fan, I think, does know who Jason Crow Jr. does. And in this age of social media and influencers and all that, like, don't get me wrong, the play on the court is what's going to matter. But that's huge marketing for this program.
Jason Crow is the kind of player who, like, you'll hear tall tales about. Like, somebody will say, like, well, I saw him take a 3-pointer with his eyes closed and hit 3 in a row like that. Something crazy like that. And it's because, like, he's scored 4,000 points in his high school career, and it broke the California record. And he's the number 3 kid in his class, and he's going to be a one and done guy. Like, everybody knows he's going to be a one and done guy. I don't think
you hope he is.
Well, yeah. But I don't think you can ever go wrong with grabbing a guy like that. And I said this at the time that he committed. It wasn't necessarily surprising that Dennis Gates finally got a 5-star, because he had been in on a couple of them in the years before. It was surprising that this was the one he got, because he was so highly touted and there was so much mystique around him.
So you said he's averaging 44 points a game, and I don't know, his high school average for his career is somewhere around 40, I think. I saw a thing on Twitter this morning. This has nothing to do with Jason Crow, but I saw a thing on Twitter this morning. Pete Maravich, somebody went and charted like every shot he took at LSU. If the 3-point line had existed when Pete Maravich played at LSU, do you know what his career scoring average per game would have been?
I have no idea. Would it be 40? Would it be 40?
Just take a guess.
I'll say 40.
57.1.
Oh my God.
I mean, like, that is... I know for a fact I have never in person seen anybody score 57 points in a basketball game. And that would have been the average.
That would have been the average. That's like, he had games better than that. We would have seen like a 75-point night out of Pistol Pete. God, that's stupid.
Like, how pissed off would you have been if you go to the gym and you're like, God, he only scored 38. What a crappy night Maravich had. Like, the Missouri single game scoring record is 43. Nobody's ever scored more than 43 once. He would have averaged 57.
That's dumb.
So
I will say though, to tie this back to Missouri, on a much smaller scale, it's kind of how I feel about Mark Mitchell, right? It's like, oh, he only had 18 and 5 tonight. Darn, we needed a little bit more from him. Like, he's a huge part of this team. Like,
yep. And we will talk about this current team in a minute, but I want to ask you, like, what's a realistic number in your head for what Jason Crow averages next year?
Oh, good question. Here's the hard part with that is the system that he's playing in right now. He's never not touching the ball.
Right. There's no system.
He probably has a usage rating that's in the 90s.
He is the system.
He is the system. I don't know that he's going to have that at Mizzou, right? No. I don't know that Dennis Gates is going to change the way that he runs his team. And so you kind of have to go off of that instead, and how well Jason Crow can translate into it, how well he deals with the size and the athleticism in the SEC. So I would say something more like kind of what LeBaron Philon is doing for Alabama this year. I think that's a realistic goal for him. So somewhere around like
what's he at?
17, I want to say. Oh, just kidding. Philon's averaging 21, but obviously some of that has to do with the preseason. But yeah, I think that's not unrealistic for Crow at all.
Yeah, I think over 15 is like, I think you would be disappointed if he's not averaging 15. I think people will say 20, but man, 20 is hard. Like, do you know? I mean, you just mentioned Mark Mitchell's averaging, I think it's 18 a game. He's averaging 17.5. That's tied with Sean East for the most anybody's averaged under Dennis Gates. Because, like, what you don't think about is if you have 9 one night, then, like, you've got to have 19 4 nights to get the average back up to 17. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I did that math right, but it's close. You know, if you have 9 one night, you got to have 26 the next night. You know, and it's like, it is really hard to do, especially for a freshman. The one thing about Crow, I will say, is like, he has unlimited range, and I think he's going to go to the free throw line a whole lot.
Yeah, there isn't a shot that he can't make. One of the things that scouts really like about him is that he's got this floater package that lets him finish over bigger defenders when he gets into the paint. So, and that's like a really high level skill that not a lot of guards have at this stage. So for him to be able to step out and shoot threes, for him to be able to drive in and get the floaters and the finishes off, and then, like you said, get to the free throw line, and I think probably be one of the better shooters. I bet they wish Jason Crow could shoot free throws for him right now. Yeah. I think that there's no question he's got the potential to be a 20-point scorer, but you know, this is a whole different level than what he's playing at now. And he, again, like, it's just going to come down to how he transitions to playing in a system where he's going to be off the ball a little bit more. A lot bit more.
I think he averages over 15. I would be surprised if it's 20. But like David Fine just said, T.O. Barrett and Crow in the backcourt, like, Jason Crow's never played with a guy that can distribute the ball like T.O. Barrett. So what we find out next year, I think, is, does he have to have the ball in his hands all the time to be effective? Like, Sean East scored a ton because he always had the ball, right? It was like Jason Crow level usage. Or is he a guy that maybe will benefit from, hey, you give T.O. Barrett the ball a lot and let T.O. Barrett do his thing, and then he's finding Jason Crow a lot of times?
Yeah. We're going to find out what Jason Crow looks like off of the ball and how effective he can be in that kind of role, I think. Because, you know, there's also a chance like Ant Robinson comes back and might even bounce back and be a halfway decent player for him next year. And if that happens, like, you got to get him some touches too. So how that trio plays out and how kind of the minutes get distributed as well, I think is kind of an interesting storyline going into next year.
Well, I think, like, Crow can play off the ball. Ant can play off the ball. I don't think T.O. Barrett can play off the ball. He's not, like, not right now. Maybe by next year. But he's not a big enough threat yet in that off-guard role to me.
I would agree for the most part. I will say, like, he's hit 2 3-pointers in the last 2 games.
Yes, there have been some signs.
He's kind of a set shooter, right? Can't really do it off the dribble yet, but you know, there were a couple plays where, like, Mark Mitchell swung it to him at the top of the key, and T.O. just took one dribble around his screen. The guy went under, and he pulled up. So I think that there's potential, but yeah, T.O.'s not at that level yet.
Yeah, it's not a part of his game he has shown off quite at this point. But I think easy to say the most pleasant surprise on this team, right? Like, I think you and I thought T.O. was better than a lot of people thought he was, but I didn't think he was this. I didn't think he was going to go out and he's probably averaged 15 the last 4 games, 15, 16 points.
Yeah, it's something like that. And it's interesting because I don't think he's ever been in this type of role since he was at high school in Oklahoma, like not even at Link Academy. We didn't really see this on his AAU team. But
Right.
T.O. has always been a guy who says, like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. And Mizzou's needed him to be one of their top 2, top 3 scorers every night. And T.O. says, okay, I'll do that for you. So I do remember Kyle Smith-Peters told me when they knew he was committing, they were like, we feel like he's a top 60 guy and one of the top point guards in this class. And T.O. was a 3-star unranked kid at the time. So I think Mizzou's coaches maybe aren't all that surprised by it, but everyone else, yeah, this is by far been the biggest surprise.
So I just added it up. Last 5 games, averages are 16 points, 5.4 rebounds, 3.4 assists, 1.2 steals. Phenomenal line. Now, the one negative, he's also averaging 3.2 turnovers, which has to, including 5 in one game. That has to come down a little bit. But I mean, everything else he has offered them, I think, way more than we would have expected. Not going to spend a ton of time on last week other than to say we thought we might hear some news on our Boateng today. Did not hear anything, correct? I didn't miss that.
Well, and you might have heard my phone alarm going off. It's for the SEC injury report, and I went to check and then forgot, like, oh, they don't play tomorrow.
They don't play.
So,
right.
So no news on Honor Boateng.
I mean, no official news. I think we're pretty comfortable saying he's not playing this year. Like, I mean, what? There's 4.5 weeks left in the regular season. Best case scenario, I don't see how he could be recovered from whatever that was in 4.5 weeks.
Gabe, can I get permission to recklessly speculate right now?
I mean, sure. But yeah,
Okay.
what you heard the beginning of the show. It's not like we're responsible here.
Okay, so this is complete speculation. I don't know anything, but I remember listening to Stefania Bell speak at an event before, and she was talking about like the different injuries that athletes go through. And she said when guys tear their ACLs, doctors know kind of quickly because you'll see them go up and they'll put their thumb on the knee.
Right. They do the test.
Yeah, they do the test. And if the ACL's torn, the thumbs will kind of sink down into the knee because there's nothing there anymore. And during the game, Honor Boateng goes down, and I see the trainer, Chris Perrin, go over there. He puts his thumb on Honor's knee, and right after is sprinting to the tunnel to go get the medics. So I would guess that there's a torn ligament somewhere in there, and I would be really surprised that if we see Honor Boateng in the next 2 months or even longer than that.
Right. And the shame of it is now we're talking about the start of next season.
Mm-hmm.
And even if he's kind of back, probably not really being healthy until kind of the end of next season, which puts both the kid and the program in a tough spot because, like, if he wants to come back, cool, you take him back. You got 15 spots, but you can't really count on anything out of him next year. But on his side, if he wants to transfer, like, where can he go, man?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like this was part of the Jaden Quaintance deal last year, right? Like, it limited the price tag just a little bit because, like, everybody knew he might not play at the start of the season.
Well, and also, like, if you re-injured it, he might not play the rest of the season, which is kind of what we're seeing at Kentucky right now. I forgot the point I was going to make, but okay.
I'm sure it was a good one, though.
Well, so I was trying to think, like, is there a way that Mizzou could, like, circumvent the roster limit and have Boateng around but not have him count toward the roster spot and have him on an academic scholarship because he's a really smart kid? And you could like hypothetically keep him at the school, but I don't think you could have him involved in team activities doing that. So,
but also like you don't need 15 guys.
True.
You know, like if your 15th guy is the guy that you know isn't going to play, cool. At least Dennis can't play 15 that way.
Correct. And honestly, Dennis said that, not literally said, but he left the 15th spot open, and he's also redshirting Aaron Rowe. So he's playing with 13 guys right now.
Right.
And so, yeah, there should be room for Honor Boateng if they want to keep him. But at the same time, like, you might want to keep somebody who is going to be available, right? Or it can contribute something to the team with that spot. So it's definitely a weird position for them to be in right now.
Like, look, man, I know this is pro sports and all that at this point, but you just, and I can't see Dennis Gates doing it. There are coaches who might do it. He's not telling that kid after that injury, you don't have a spot here next year. If Honor wants to be on the team next year, he's going to be on the team, and he should be on the team.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
You know, I mean, that kid, the shame of it was like it literally happened after the first play we've ever seen out of him here that made you go, oh, damn. Like, oh, okay. You know, and then it happens the very next trip down the court, which is the terrible part. So kind of want to wrap up. And like you said, no midweek game. Good time for a break. I think it's huge because it gives Sean Phillips an extra 3 days to hopefully for the ankle to be fine. Like you said on Saturday, I mean, love him or hate him, we found out what it looks like without him, and it looks better with him. They need it. So Saturday at South Carolina, is this a must win? Like, do you put this in that category?
I kind of do, to be honest. Because here's the thing, Gabe. They're not favored in any more games moving forward by Ken Pom, right? He does project them to pick up 3 wins somewhere along the way. But here's the thing. They've got 5 road games left, 4 home games. The home games are against Texas, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, and Arkansas. Those aren't going to be easy.
And 3 of those teams are actually good.
Yeah, 3 of those teams are really good. The road games are South Carolina, Texas A&M, Arkansas, Mississippi State again, and Oklahoma again. And we've seen what Mizzou kind of looks like on the road. So this is one of the easier games left on the schedule, and Mizzou's going to have to pick up some road wins if they want to get to 10-8 by the end of the year. So I would put this in a must-win category.
I would phrase it like, I don't think it's a must-win, but by the same token, if they don't win this one, I don't see how they win enough to get to the tournament. So it's like, in theory, it's not a must-win, but if you don't win this one, where are you getting 5 wins?
Yeah, exactly. Because right now, if you win this one, Gabe, all you got to do the rest of the way is get sweeps, don't get swept. Or even like just don't get swept the rest of the way.
Just don't get swept.
You lose this one, you're going to have to sweep a couple of weeks, or at least.
It really is set up kind of the opposite of the way you'd want. Because what I want is give me the easy teams, the worst teams at home.
Yeah.
Where I play better. Give me the better teams on the road. If I'm going to lose on the road anyway, like, cool. If Vandy's going to beat me, if Texas A&M is going to beat me, just let me go play there, you know, as opposed to those being the home games. I've always thought that that's the way you want the schedule to set up is for the tougher games to be on the road anyway. So Billy, I think we got a couple questions out of the chat. Let's make sure we get those taken care of before we let Drew go.
In the meantime, I can tell you why I was late, Gabe. I was looking up all of the bracketologists and what they have for the SEC and Mizzou, and I was looking that up and lost track of time. So that was why I was late to the show. But we can get to that in a little bit after this question.
Yeah. So Dan Schweiger asks, any truth to the reported news that Alabama has to vacate wins that Bediako played? Like, I have seen I have not seen that reported. Have you? Am I missing something?
I have not seen that reported either. No.
I think what you're seeing, Dan, is wishful thinking from other fan bases, probably.
That, and on top of it, like, I've seen specifically that the NCAA can't say that publicly right now, because if they do, it's breaking the temporary restraining order. Like, they're not allowed to intimidate Alabama or Charles Bediako in any way. So if that has been reported, then I think the NCAA is in a lot of trouble.
And also, like, just going to go ahead and say it. Who could ever have seen problems arising when 4 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it was, and Missouri was at the forefront of this? We're literally having state laws written that says the SEC and the NCAA can't come in and tell us what to do. Like, literally, it's in the state law. You cannot change our state. It's insanity, man. I mean, it really is, though. Pinkles Harley, is Crow and Bryant's transition to college ball the tipping point for Dennis Gates? It depends a little bit, I think, on how the next 6 weeks go. Right? I mean, if you get hot and you get in and you win a game, you're fine for next year.
I think so.
You don't get in, next year becomes pretty big.
Yeah. And I would say next year is pretty big regardless, because of like how much hype is around these two guys. And we haven't mentioned, like, Aiden Chronister, part of this class too, also got nominated for the All-American game. But, when you have a class that has been getting all of this publicity that we're crediting them for, like, you got to go do something with that team. And it can't be against Prairie View, A&M, and South Dakota. It's got to be against, Kansas and Illinois. Like, you got to go actually win some big games with these guys, because,
for sure,
you hope that they're only there for the 1 year.
Right. So I've been stretching to get to our guest, and I apparently completely missed that he had already entered the room and is just sitting backstage listening to me and Drew. However, our next guest, even though he's a football guy, he's a huge Mizzou hoops guy. So I'm making Drew stay on. Eric Edholm, it is your moment to ask Drew King anything that you would like to ask him, or just educate him on Missouri basketball history.
No. Yeah, I'll tell you all about Paula Linney one day.
Thank you.
That'll take a while.
Eric, I don't know if you heard me before pronounce the guy's name Alex Oriakai, but
Oriaki, yeah. He was like the 9-point, 13 rebound, 4 foul guy. Yeah, but he was useful.
He shot like 80% from the floor in the last month of the season. And then Missouri played an NCAA tournament game where they just said, hey, let's just not let that guy shoot the ball at all.
Yeah, right. Oh my goodness. Again, Colton Iverson, I believe, was the big man for Colorado State. All right, what's the Boateng update? I missed the whole game basically, and is he hurt? Is he?
Oh, he's hurt. The official update is we don't know. The unofficial update is
he was in an air cast.
Part of his knee left, man. Like somebody said in the chat, he was on crutches. Like he's not playing this year.
Sad to see. Yeah.
More important is the Sean Phillips update, which we all.
Yeah, I heard you guys update that. So I got one of my 2 injury questions. Plus, I kind of knew I wanted to put you guys on the spot, just like you guys put Dennis on the spot and get nothing in return. So Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, if you want this to be like that, then Drew needs to talk for about 4 more minutes, but get to the end of it, and you still have absolutely no idea the question you even asked.
Just mention Coach Hamilton once, mention Cal, mention a few other things along the way, thread it together, and there you go.
8 core values, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, Drew, appreciate you, man. We're gonna let you run. We're gonna talk a little football with Eric.
Let me get a question in.
Let's go.
Go ahead. All right. Yeah. So Gabe on Saturday said he's setting the line over under SEC teams getting into the NCAA tournament at 8.5. Where are you at, Eric?
Wow. Doing some quick math here. I'm going to say maybe under this year. I mean, isn't Missouri kind of in that 9th spot right now, wouldn't you say?
There's 7 that are going to get in.
Okay.
Then you've got Auburn, Texas, Georgia, and Missouri.
Okay.
Over
maybe,
8.5
maybe I'm
means
not
2 of those
all
get
of them
in.
then. Yeah. Maybe it's 9 then. I don't know. Yeah. I feel like it's a good league still, but maybe I don't get to watch as many of the other teams play, and so I will now in February and March, but you guys would definitely know that more than I would.
Well, and then follow up, Eric, does Mizzou get in this year?
Right now I'm saying no. Until I see them beat somebody by more than 6 points and win a road game, I'm holding back. I mean, I'd love to see it, obviously, but we also know how those first round games tend to go. So my wife doesn't need the stress, so I'll say they won't make it.
It's like the wins over Howard and Mississippi Valley State didn't even happen.
Well, I've got the bracketology update for y'all if you want it.
So okay, what is it?
Bart Torvik says 10 teams are getting in. Missouri is in the next 4 out.
Okay.
Joe Lunardi says 10 teams get in. Missouri next 4 out. CBS says 10 teams get in. Wow. And Missouri is one of the last 4 in.
CBS is the parent company, and they send me the checks, but I've not understood some of their decisions on that in the last couple of weeks.
Rocco Miller says 9 teams get in. Mizzou is first 4 out, and then Bracket Matrix says 9 get in, and Mizzou is next 4 out.
I don't feel as bad with my 9 then. Okay, yeah. All right. Yeah. So fair enough.
There. I feel like my 8.5 was a good line. So
hey,
it was set correctly.
Correct. I said 9.5. And
9.5 might have gotten a little more action, maybe.
10 and 9. Yeah. So
that's right.
But, all right. I'll talk to y'all later.
Drew's the gambling expert. So all right. Thanks, man.
Thanks, y'all.
All right. That is Drew King. He is off your screen now. Eric Edholm still on it. If you don't know by now, that means you don't watch our show once a year when Eric comes on and tells us all the NFL draft stuff, NFL media draft expert, insider, guru, whatever term you would like to use. Spent last week in Mobile, Alabama. So before we talk about the football, like what is there? Like there's got to be a spot in Mobile that everybody, right? Like there's a spot at Peach Jam that everybody goes. Yep. There's, like when you cover a team in training camp, there's a spot everybody goes that's just like a shitty little dive bar. Where's the Mobile spot?
So there's a few spots, but it depends on your age. If you are in our age bracket, you're probably going to Dumbwaiter, which is a restaurant. I would say anybody over 40 fits into the Dumbwaiter crowd. If you're under 40 and you're still not ashamed of staying out until 3 a.m. and likely making really bad decisions, then Veets is your place. Veets is the bar, and Mobile's changed. Now I'm old enough where I can say this, but I mean, I've been going since like 2005, I think. So almost 20 years now. I've been heading down there, not every year, but more often than not. And like, you'd have to go to Veets just because I met Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones's son, in the line to the bathroom. Like, he just came out and said, "Stephen Jones, damn glad to meet you. Stephen Jones, damn glad to meet you." Went straight down the line of dudes waiting to get in the restroom. Like, okay, yeah.
We hope he washed his hands. We hope he's not.
Yeah, exactly. That's all. I went into the bathroom and like, is the water running? Okay, good. Right. All right, that's good. I'll tell one story without naming names. There is a relatively well-known brother combination in the NFL that work in NFL scouting. They've also been in college football, but this was the moment. If I had to define Veets with one instance, it was seeing the twin brothers, and they look exactly alike, hitting on a mother-daughter combination. And like, I had to stick around just to see how it would work out, right? I mean, you want to see this through to complete. It's like watching the entire Senior Bowl. It takes a while, you gotta sit down and earn it. But I mean, that was my peak Veets moment. I don't know that I've been back since. I had to walk off right there. That was it.
So I can't let this go. You said if you're under 40 and not ashamed of staying out till 3 a.m. At what age did you stop staying out till 3 a.m.? Because I was like 24.
I used to work nights, so like I was kind of a night owl into my well, maybe not into my 30s, I guess. Now that I'm saying that, yeah. These days, like 9:30, I'm starting to yawn a little. But I used to be the like turn the lights out guy, and just not me anymore. I would say I pushed it till about early 30s. I guess every now and then, but now no chance.
I am much more likely to get up at 3
Right.
a.m. than I am to go to bed at 3
Yep.
a.m.
I'm close. My wife will get me up and just say it's time to get up. Okay. Yeah.
At 3 o'clock.
3:30.
Still married.
What are we doing?
Well done. All right. So, hey, it was the Zion Young show last week. Like
It was.
Senior Bowl week is like every day, and I discover so many more people that like I don't know who they are. It's kind of like a podcast or a YouTube show, right? Like if you want to say you covered the NFL draft, it's not hard to do. Just start a Twitter feed.
Right.
But like every day in Mobile is here's who stood out to me. And like Zion Young was on everybody's list every single day.
Yeah, I didn't think he had a bad day. And, I was kind of hoping one of these guys would perform poorly so I could come on here and at least not sound like a total homer, but Zion's an interesting cat, as you know. I mean, he's got a ton of personality, and it shows off on the field too in his play as well. And again, just start with the fact that some other guys backed out. The Miami guys did. They had a long season. You could understand why both of their defensive ends would opt out. A couple other guys. TJ Parker was there from Clemson, sort of in that same body shape and draft range as Zion. So there were a couple guys that I think he was directly competing with down there. And there were others too, but he just kept showing up and making plays. The one-on-ones, they're kind of designed for the defensive player to have the advantage, and if you see an offensive lineman have consistent success in those, it's notable, so I would say they probably win at least 60% of the battles. But still, he showed a variety of moves, which is, I think, what people want to see, which is, here's a speed to power bull rush. Here's a swim and a chop, and I'm going to go inside. Here's a long arm pass rush move. So, boy, it was like dealer's choice. Whatever you wanted to see, you got from him. And consistent winner in the one-on-ones, looked good in the team portions of practice for 3 days too. And then in the game, he had a fumble recovery, and you got it in the backfield, made a play. I didn't think he deserved MVP, but you know how those things go. You've been to bowl games where they're giving you a ballot with like 5 minutes left in the third quarter. Game's not even over. Like, can we change our vote? So I suspect at that point there were a couple guys who had sacks in the fourth quarter who, everyone played roughly the same, I guess. So maybe they would have gotten it, but he played well enough, to not be a sham of a vote there. So, he definitely helped himself. How much that means, I don't know, but yeah, I think all three guys did really well down there.
I mean, I think, and we'll talk about the other guys in a minute, but I think definitely at this point, first round is possible for Zion. Yep. Do you think it's likely?
It's a really deep edge class this year. And so I'll be interested to see as we get, as I get to the combine, that's where you start kind of hearing, you see people in person and it's been hard to get some of the personnel guys on the phone and get much time with them unless you see them in person this time of year, because everybody's got their meetings and, staff changes and all that stuff. So I haven't really gotten much in terms of specifics, but if I had to guess, he's probably in that 25 to 50 overall range right now. And some of that is, again, due to the depth of the class and just the fact that the D-line in particular, but especially on the edge, is a very healthy class with a lot of good prospects. I think what helps him prior to working out at the combine is that, and the Senior Bowl director, Drew Fabianich, who used to run the Cowboys drafts for years, and then he spent a couple years at Auburn. He was at West Virginia. And he actually talked about Zion wanting to get him to West Virginia. I don't remember exactly who all recruited him after Michigan State, but apparently West Virginia was in on it, and Drew really felt like he missed out on not getting Zion. But, he's got an NFL body. I mean, he just looks the part, long limb. Let me get the measurements here. the official measurements, 6'5" and a quarter, 262 pounds, 33.5-inch arms and an 81-inch wingspan. Hard to
That
draw him
seems
up much
long.
better than that.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for that like base end, a guy who can, take on the tight end and defend the run and rush the passer a little bit, that's what he is. And, other than more of the rush ends are a little bit more of the quicker, smaller guys in the 250 range. So I think it helps him that he's got a body type that's a little bit different from some of the other guys at that position.
Well, when you do what I do not call this draft season. I call this we want the Chiefs to take every Mizzou player ever season. This is what every time anybody is brought up from Missouri, the first response I always get, whether it's Twitter or a message board, is hope the Chiefs take him at blah, blah, blah. Chiefs not going to take Zion at 9. I think a lot of people would love to see him there at 41.
Oh, yeah.
The guy that look, you and I were texting a little bit at the beginning of the week. I thought Chris McClellan was underrated all year for Missouri.
Absolutely.
And like he is, I mean, I don't know, I guess what kind of 3rd to 5th round type guy, but man, I like that kid.
I do too. Yeah. And I'll tell you a quick funny story about him too. But yeah, another guy who he's big, obviously he's got the mass that you want at the position. He could play, I think, a 0 tech, head up over the center, probably a shade. I don't know that you're going to use him a lot as a 3 tech. He could probably be a 5 technique and battle tackles for like one of those 3-4 teams. But for the most part, he's going to be a nose. And what's so interesting about him is that he gets into the backfield. Some of those guys, they just absorb 2 blockers and just hold him up and somebody else makes the tackle and they're doing their job. So it depends on what kind of system he gets into. But like you saw him, I say get skinny. That's a scouting phrase. He's not skinny, but like, you see him kind of get in there and fight his way in. He almost had as many sacks this year as Zion did. So there's something to be said for that. And same thing. I think he was maybe a little quiet day 1. I just don't particularly remember any standout plays, but day 2 and 3, I thought he really asserted himself. And there's another guy, Lee Hunter from Texas Tech there, who I think is graded higher by most teams than McClellan. But, when you watch practice and saw those 2 guys perform, they're very similar body shapes, the 330-pound guys who are, a little bit sawed off, but they're thick as all get out, I didn't see a huge difference in play between them. McClellan batted down a pass during team. He was using good hands and leverage during the one-on-ones. He's not pretty, but he just gets it done, and he's surprisingly quick out there and powerful, I found out, because I went down and, in some of this practice, it's like you're deciding, do I want to watch the quarterbacks over there? Do I want to watch the O-line here? And so I was kind of picking a different position. And I got to the American team's defensive line group, which was Chris's group, and I watched them all go through a few times, and I noticed that he and one other guy, the Arkansas kid, Ball, I can't think of his first name, Chris Ball, I'm forgetting, Cameron.
Just call him Jerry Ball.
Gary Ball, yeah.
Jerry, I like Jerry from the early '90s Detroit.
Beamer
Lions.
Ball, yeah. It was. Those 2 guys, I was like, man, they're big, powerful dudes. Of course, they always finish off those drills with like one last pad slap or hit or whatever. So as they finished up that drill and went to the next one, I asked the kid, he was an offensive lineman at the local high school. I said, which one of these guys hit the hardest? And I didn't feed him any names. And he's like, one of the Mizzou dudes kicked the crap out of it. I don't know if I can say that, but I just did. So
dude, we say so much worse than
okay,
that.
Good. I didn't know what the level of editing was here, but
you've obviously never listened to the voice.
No, I have. I usually only when you're in the car, though.
We break the rules all the time.
Yeah, usually when you're like on a way to a game or doing something like that. But no, it was he has some pop, and he definitely. Again, it's like he may not be for everybody, but the teams that kind of could use that and teams are running the football more these days. So you need bulk. We went so small 15 years ago defensively. Now we're getting big again a little bit. So that helps Zion, and it definitely helps Chris McClellan.
All right, so flip side, those guys clearly have the size.
Yeah.
Is Kevin Coleman's size a problem?
He's a slot.
He's not big, man.
No, it was 179, I want to say. Here we go. 5'10", short, 174 pounds, light.
Yeah.
The hand size is fine, but, getting off press coverage with 30-inch arms, I don't know that that's going to work so well. So he's going to do what he did at Mizzou, which is play in the slot, be a motion guy, and be a returner, I think. And I didn't know, I knew he was small, but I didn't think he was quite that small. I thought maybe he'd be a little closer to 5'11", 182 or something. But, I watched the Buccaneers. They have a couple of tiny receivers that they use a lot on kind of special plays. Tez Johnson, I think, was 159 pounds or 161 or whatever last year. So he didn't get drafted, but he made the Bucs. So there's always room for a player with receiving ability, savvy. And I went in not knowing what to expect from him, but caught every single pass, I think, that was reasonably within his frame, and made the Ohio State kid look silly a few times. He's just he's quick and decisive. He catches the ball and he's into his move. Like he's already kind of catching it and moving upfield as I get out of the frame here. But he's just it was one of those things where I think you and I were texting midweek, why didn't they use this guy more? It's
yeah.
Catch 5 passes and be done for the day,
Mostly because they didn't have quarterbacks that could throw the ball to the guy on their team very often. That would be the biggest reason. So if we're fairly comfortable, all three of them, look, Zion's getting picked, McClellan's getting picked.
Yeah.
Coleman, I think here's
so.
His name. Keegan Trost, I think, does. Josiah Trotter, I think, does. I think we're looking at 5 draft picks from Missouri. Is that, I don't know if I'm missing anybody, but I think that's a pretty safe bet that all 5 of those guys get drafted.
Who was the 5th one? I know Trotter and
Keegan Trost.
Trost, tackle. Yeah, the right tackle, right? Absolutely. No, I think you're right. I think that's fair to say. Trotter, obviously the bloodlines and the name will get him a little extra attention, whether that's fair or not. It will. It just happens that way, and he's got a brother in the league and obviously a dad who played in the league a long time. And so, and he had a great season. I haven't studied him again, I've seen enough Mizzou games to know what his impact is. And, he found his way into the backfield so much. I don't know what his range is, to be totally honest, but if I had to guess, it would be 3rd, 4th round, maybe 2nd, 3rd, 4th.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking. I've seen some people putting him in the top 50 prospects, so and again, I think that's if you're between him and another guy, you look and go, well, his dad was really good and his brother's pretty good. I bet he's pretty good.
And to come in and essentially be the captain of the defense, or whatever, the guy who, the green dot player and play as well as he did. Still young, still ascending. It may depend on his testing a little bit, and I'd love to see what he weighs in at, of course, just for that position. Linebackers have kind of been deemed coverage players in the last generation. You either can blitz or coverage. You got to do one, or you have to be a really good special teamer and a really good run stopper to be drafted, I think. But as again, same what we were saying, defenses are now getting big again. The importance of a good linebacker is tangible. I think it really matters. It's not a position that you just throw away and ask him to cover tight ends all day. So, he might be coming out at the right time, even if Mizzou fans wished he would have stuck around a little longer. But then Trost too, another player who I talked to the East-West Shrine director, Eric Edholm, about, and he said he was on a list of about 5 or 6 players who, when he talked with people after the first month of the season, let's say, end of September, early October, you kind of do a recheck, who have we missed? Who's not on our radar? And Trost is one of those players. Didn't really have much of an NFL draft following, and scouts weren't necessarily hot on him. But once they'd seen him play, and they're probably their most reliable guy, I would say, or one of them. And I think it's going to help him. He's probably a right tackle only or right guard, but I could see him getting drafted for sure.
So I know, like in basketball, Keegan Trost played 7 years of college football. He's 25 years old.
Yep.
In basketball, that means they ain't taking you. Like, you should be on your second contract.
Right.
Does that hurt you in football, or is it okay?
There's a cutoff. Yeah. I mean, the analytics driven teams for sure. The Minnesota Vikings before they fired their GM. The Cleveland Browns certainly would be one of them, and there are others too, but it's very rare that they'll draft a player over 23, and so they'll use the age and kind of decide, okay, we like him, but we'll sign him as a free agent if he's still available. We're not going to use a draft pick on him. But so age definitely matters. This year's class actually has a couple of really interesting 25-year-old players. So it's like, that'll be put to the test to find out how much it matters to certain teams. But I think it probably depends on certain positions too. Maybe O-line, it's not viewed as much of a negative, but I don't know. That's one I'll have to ask around a little bit about, but definitely for some teams, it's going to matter.
All right. I got to ask my one selfish question. Then we got a couple in the chat.
Yes.
To let you go. So, look, I saw a high school football game in St. Louis on the field were Jeremiah McClellan, Luther Burden, Miles McVeigh, Toriano Pride. Like, there were D1 kids all over this field. And the second best player I saw that night was Jeremiah Love. He was a sophomore. Hypothetically, if you were a fan of a team that has had a really good run and finally got a top 10 pick and has a whole bunch of holes to fill, am I justified in being pissed off, even if I think he might be the best player in the draft, if said team would take a running back at number 9?
Yeah, I think the Saints. No, obviously it's different with the New Orleans Saints, but like the Chiefs have had just a wee bit more success lately. The two teams that you've seen him mock to, I think the most would be New Orleans at 8 and Kansas City at 9. Now I try to avoid mock drafts, so I'm not biased. I like to, but I gave him to the Saints, so I avoided the Chiefs trap. I think some Chiefs fans still feel a little bit burned by the Clyde Edwards-Helaire pick, even though it came, 20.
By a little bit, I hope you meant extremely scarred.
Permanently scarred. Yeah. And what stinks is I really like Clyde in college, and I know Gabe's having some trouble, so I'll vamp here for a minute. But I liked Clyde in college. I'm not afraid to admit it. I've been wrong on plenty of guys, but Jeremiah is going to be a fascinating test case. Sort of back to what we were saying too. I think one of the other trends is that, you go nickel and dime defense, we're going to run the football against you. That's why you have a special running back prospect a la Love.
Not if Andy Reid's calling the offense.
That's true. That's the other factor. I think Clyde had a second round grade on their board, and they're sitting there at 32, and they said, "This is the best player here. Let's take him." It's going to be a different conversation, obviously, at number 9. And I'll give you a little nugget. I did see Brett Veach camped out by the defensive lineman the 2 days that he was there. He may have left early, but he was parked right in front.
I promise I will not completely derail this with Chiefs talk, but I do hope that Brett Veach has actually moved in with Ruben Bain Jr. I hope they're roommates for the next.
They're about the same age, I think. No, that's Messidor is actually the older guy, but yeah. I mean, that's who I gave him in my last mock. I gave him Bain. I can see it. I don't think Bain's going top 5.
That's why you're the best mock draft person out there.
I know.
That's why I love you.
That's what I try to do, try to please the fans out there,
All right, couple quick questions from the chat. Drew's gambling questions were not enough. He now needs to know who is a rookie sleeper he can take on his fantasy team.
Ooh. That's a good one. Obviously, fit matters. You got to figure out where these guys go. I would draft Jeremiah Love unless he went to the Chiefs or a team like that. If he was going to be like splitting carries or something, or not used that much. Love's going to be his backup too. I mean, I think he's going to be an NFL starter one day. So, I would say at receiver, I don't mean to keep mentioning Notre Dame guys, but Malachi Fields down there look like a man. I mean, like The only gripe on him is he has smaller hands, but like 6'4", 210 pounds, runs really well, catches everything, attacks the ball. Like you see him going up and, like my ball attitude. I was very impressed with him. I almost regret not putting him at the end of my first round. So that's one that would stand out. Yeah, there's some good ones. Tyson, the receiver from Arizona State, when healthy, could be really good. I'm trying to think of some tight ends that might work. Quarterback, you might be in trouble. I think it's the Fernando show, and that's about it. Yeah. I mean, Ty Simpson's interesting. You guys saw him almost at his peak, I think, when he played Mizzou. We started kind of leveling off a little after that, getting hurt. So receivers, a pretty deep group. Probably going to be your best bet, but there are a few exceptions elsewhere.
All right, since you mentioned the quarterbacks, we'll go to this one next and then wrap it up with the Mizzou question. Billy covered Vandy and is asking thoughts on Diego Pavia, which kind of like your reaction to Kevin Coleman. I knew he wasn't big, but there's not big, and then there's that.
There's 5'9", small
3/4 or something.
He was 5'9". I'll get the official measurement in scout speak here. 5'097", so it's 5'9" and 7/8. So look, a quarter of an inch and a half an inch isn't going to make a difference whether he's a NFL player or not, but he's short and he's small, and you're under 200 pounds. It means you're smaller than Kyler Murray. It means you're smaller than Bryce Young. Those are the two guys that are kind of the bottom, the Mendoza line, if you will, not to confuse my metaphors here, but yeah, I mean, Pavia, the crazy thing is day one, and Drew Fabianich, the director, said, I think he's going to do well down here, guys. Like, he was kind of telling people he really had some high hopes for him. And
wait, Diego Pavia was self-confident?
Can you imagine, right? I've never seen it before. Yeah. And the first day, he had a good day. He threw the football with confidence. He had a couple plays that were like broken plays that he made something out of. You're like, that's the guy I watched, okay. Day 2 and 3 kind of leveled off. I mean, I felt like he had less success. He had a ball picked at the end of practice on Wednesday, and honestly, that setting isn't really made for him. So there's only so much you can glean. If I had to guess, even in a weak quarterback class, he's probably going to be undrafted. If I had to just take a stab at it right now, but you never know. There's always that one team that says, I don't care. I like the kid. I like that he's a prick. I like that he's cocky. I like that he believes in himself. I like that he carried this program, 2 programs on his shoulders. Maybe he's a late pick, but if I had to guess, undrafted.
That's got Raiders 3rd rounder written all over it.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, he's not Tom Brady, but I mean, he's an interesting guy.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up with Mike. A couple of Mizzou guys, Dalen Carnell, Toriano Pride. You see either of those guys? Pride physically. I think he plays in the league. I don't know if he's drafted, but I think he plays.
Yeah, I showed a little playmaking ability. I think did he kind of get soft benching a little bit, and then he sort of worked his way back into the mix a little, and obviously good pedigree. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but these guys do pay attention to what they were in high school. They want to know were they elite recruits, or were they kind of just a guy who was self-made man or whatever. So I think they're both going to end up in a at the very least a rookie mini camp. But they'll probably be on a 90-man roster. I would say maybe Pride a little bit more than Carnell. I can't say that I wanted to see more out of him, but I didn't study him hard enough to actually say, oh yeah, he's not a draftable prospect. So at this stage, hard for me to say, but I would guess at the very least they're good enough players. Your starting corner in the SEC, most of those guys, unless they're just dogs, don't really, but most of those guys end up on a 90-man.
And I think with Carnell, the tough thing is he played Missouri's star position, which is kind of that linebacker safety hybrid, but he's got to be a safety in the NFL. That position doesn't really exist in most NFL defenses. At 225, he's clearly not an NFL linebacker, so he's got to show that coverage ability.
And who was the guy? I'm blanking. The Colts drafted him. The
J.C. Carlisle.
Yeah. Yes. I thank you. I just blanked out his name for a second.
Yeah, they picked him in the 5th round. They loved him, but then he was hurt and hasn't ever gotten on the field.
I mean, I think it's probably a similar deal. I don't know that I'm not sure if he'll work out to the same level that Carlisle did, but because he really had a good combine performance. I thought he got drafted based on how he worked out as much as anything. So, yeah, I mean, again, it's there are nickel linebackers out there, who are like king size safeties or whatever, but he's going to have to probably make it on special teams.
Yep. Well, Eric, I appreciate you taking so much time in. And I will say this, I, during the NFL playoffs, having been freed up to watch other teams, I'm now, my son and I are already making plans that the Bears need to be home on Mizzou's bye week next week because we're coming up to Soldier Field because that's our second team now. And I would watch the Caleb and Luther and Roma Dunze, who's my favorite non-Mizzou player in the last few years. That's my team now.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if that works out, I know a good motel down the street. No, I'm kidding. I was gonna say you have a place to stay. Perfect. You know that, right? So I'll definitely meet you guys somewhere if it works out. But yeah, Bears have fans now. I mean, I know they had fans in Chicago, but like people from other places are asking me about them. This has not happened in a long, long time. Let me tell you that. That's
because the NFL playoffs were all boring except when the Bears played. That was fun. So
every game you had to watch every second to find out if they could hang, and they almost always were in the game with the ball in their hands. So pretty wild season.
All right, man. Appreciate you hanging out with us. We'll catch up.
Got it. We'll check back in soon. Thanks, man.
That is Eric Edholm, NFL media, and he is our resident draft expert. He weighs in on our message boards. He's a Mizzou guy. So if you got questions about Mizzou guys in the draft and all that leading up to that, Eric's going to be hanging around the boards. But we wanted to get him on here and just kind of run everything down for you while he was here for, 30, 40 minutes with us. So appreciate you guys hanging out. Cody not here tonight. Cody had to pick his girlfriend up from the airport, so he backed out of the show. I have docked his pay accordingly, and I will make him do it solo next week. But appreciate you guys hanging out here. Do want to remind you on the way out the door, we're brought to you by our guy, James Carlton. Again, the QR code up in the corner of the screen. You can scan that. It'll take you straight to carltoninsurance.net. You can give James a call. If you just want to talk to him, he's a fun guy to talk to. Lovely individual. 314-961-4800. A couple weeks, I'm going to be at the St. Louis Tiger Club. I'm sure James will be out there. It's literally walking distance from his office in Webster Grove. So you can come. You can hear me say some stupid stuff. You can talk to James. You can get an insurance quote. You can have a good meal at Llewellyn's. It's a perfect day for you. That's February 17th. So thanks for hanging out here. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.